Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm about a minute late. We just got done adjusting in the office, but I'm so pumped to be here with you. We're going to do the gut health webinar. I just need 1 minute to get myself situated on the PowerPoint, and then I will be right back. So hang in there. Hi, if you're just getting on here, I need just 1 minute. It's been a second since I've done this, so I've got to get the slideshow right. Browse in an individual window. Yes, that's exactly what I want to do. Here we go, and we will present. Beautiful. Oh, cancel. Save. You guys are just listening to me figure this out for just 1 second. Okay, here we go. And then I'm going to do share my screen. Hi, everybody. I see a couple people on. If you're on and you want to say hi, you can absolutely say hi. I'd love to know who's on. Okay, let's share my screen in my window. This one here. Share. Cool, we're in. Okay, we're doing the gut health webinar tonight, and it's gonna be a 2-part series. So part 1 is tonight. I'm so excited to go through this with you. And then we'll have part 2 next Wednesday. And the nice thing about this is, like, we've already done a gut health webinar, and it was in our office live, but we hadn't recorded it. And so this one, you'll actually be able to watch as many times as you want to. You can go either on Facebook or you can go to our YouTube channel and watch it a bunch of times. So feel free to share this also. So if you love what you heard, or if you ever run into somebody that talks about gut health, or they're having some gut health problems, please share this with them. It could absolutely change their entire life, because I know that learning about my gut health has changed my own life and how I take care of my gut. And then also having the knowledge to know that your gut isn't just about like digestive health, but it does affect your brain and how you think. It also affects your immune system. And so we're going to talk about those things today, and then we'll continue on next week into part 2. So let's get started. Hi, Melissa. Hi, it looks like Steve Williams. Love it. Glad you guys are on. So let's start. Thinking about where we are today when it comes to our health, it's kind of crazy. Like in America, we have 1 doctor for every 8 patients. And that's actually the best doctor-patient ratio in the world yet. America's not healthy at all when it comes to that. It might be more now, like with, I can't quite say the word because they might censor me, and it's real life that can be a thing, but like the doctor-patient ratio of having 1 to 8 is a pretty good thing. Yet right now, 75% of people over the age of 40 have some sort of a chronic degenerative disease. Cancer is now the leading cause of death in children 10 and under, second to accidents. And this wasn't true in the 1950s. Like, this didn't exist. So it's not something that's always been there. It seems that it's just getting worse and worse and worse. So where we're at today is we're sicker than we've ever been. Our gut health is worse than it's ever been. Our nutrition is worse than it's ever been. And so when we are alert to this reality, there's something that we have to do about it. Like, I don't know about you, but like when I hear those things, and I'm like, I think about children especially, and I'm like, we've got to do something else. Like, we can't continue to keep living the way that we've been living, because it's what's going to happen in 2030 and 2040 and 2050 and the year 3000, like where our generations for our children and their children, what will their health look like now if it's worse than it was 50 years ago? So when something's not going right, what do? usually you find out what's going wrong. And so like, think about your bank account. Like with money, like if you put money into your bank account and you know that it's there, it's deposited in, you did it with your own eyes, your own money, or you had your job deposit money in and you go into your bank account and it's not there. Like you're gonna wanna find out why that is the case. And so today we are going to learn about how you might be depositing things into your body. It might be good food. Like you might already be eating amazing things. You might be also taking vitamins and you might be doing all of that. But what's happening is that some things might not be deposited into your body because your gut isn't healthy. And some of you might say like, I don't really have like gut issues, like constipation or diarrhea or bloating, which is what we associate a lot of times with gut issues. But the reality is that's not always the case if we have a gut issue. That many common health issues are caused by an underlying problem inside of our gut. And so I want to be able to walk you through that today and show you how things are so connected to our gut health that it could be causing more things than just constipation, diarrhea, and bloating. So let's take a look at what things are actually linked to our gut. Like I keep talking about, there's other things. Like, Dr. Cassie, what are those other things? Well, Hippocrates said all diseases begin in the gut. I think he was definitely onto something when he was saying that. But you take a look at this list. Virtually everything is linked back to what? The gut. So here's the thing, because we're going to talk about natural things to do to help heal your gut. But there's often a misconception that those people that live naturally, like what we're going to talk about today, that you're not actually following the science. And today I'm going to tell you that everything that I'm teaching you is backed by science, and not just any science, and not just like some Google thing that I put up. Like it's actual good science. Like I was reading this, and I don't think I put it in my notes for later, but from 2013 to 2017, they looked at like what was the majority of the published articles, like what did it have to do with, and what was the majority of the things being studied. And 40% of the studied articles for 4 years, 2013 to 2017, all had to do with gut health. So this is something that has literally been researched to death. Like, we want to know what the health is like. And so that's what I want to tell you today, that it's not just some good idea and just something that I'm hoping is better, but that it's backed by science and that you can put your trust into the science of what it's saying to keep our guts healthy. So what is our digestive system? Like, what is this thing I keep saying gut? Like, what is it? It's more than just a tube. So it's not just a hole here and a hole back here, and then there's just one tube in the middle. There is a lot of other things that are associated with our guts. Now, your human digestive system, it is composed of a bunch of organs, like a number of organs that break down the food you eat to absorb vital nutrients. So it's made up of, it's known as like, you might go to a gastroenterologist or a GI doctor. And so this is your GI, your gastrointestinal tract. And so it has solid organs like your liver, your pancreas, your gallbladder, and then you have your mouth, and then you have your esophagus, you have your stomach, you have your small intestine, you have your large intestine. At the end, you have your anus, which is where all the waste comes out. Now, the lining of everything that you see right here, the lining of it is often called your second brain. Now, some of you have heard like, my gut is my second brain. Well, it's the lining of all of that is where that comes from, is the second brain. So for every one signal that the brain sends down to the gut to send a message, 9 messages are sent back to the brain. So we need to have a well-functioning gut, like not only just for absorption of nutrients, but like so that there's a communication pathway that's open and that it's not disconnected. So moving on to when I just said absorption of nutrients. So every cell inside of your entire body, so your body's made up of all of these cells. So you have hair cells, you have skin cells, you have eye cells, like your heart is made of cells. All of those cells inside of your body that make us up are dependent on the absorption of nutrients. So digestion is critical to the overall function because your body needs those nutrients that are found in food in order to function properly and to maintain an overall health of your system. So how does your body do this? So some of you might know, like you've heard of macros before or counting macros. So your carbohydrates, your fats, and your proteins are macronutrients that we receive from food. Vitamins and minerals are known as micronutrients that we also receive from food that we eat or the supplements that we take. So your digestive system, back here, what it does, all of this system working together, it breaks down these nutrients so that your body can absorb them and then use them to make new cells, use them for energy so that your body can be able to heal. But if your gut isn't healthy, you might be doing all the right things. You might be eating all that amazing food that you see right there on the screen, but you're only absorbing 10% of it. So there's this like up and down where we have to make sure that our gut is healthy and healed and whole so that when we do eat the proper nutrients, our body can absorb everything and then do exactly what it's supposed to do over and over and over again every single day. How much would you, like going back to the bank account thing, like what if your deposit of the money that you put in there, but only 10% of it got deposited? Like we'd be like, what the heck? What is going on? So inside of our body, it kind of stinks because we can't actually see inside of our bodies. And so by testing and doing different things, we can help to see what our body's absorbing, what it's not absorbing, what specific nutrients do we need, and what that looks like. And we'll talk about testing here today. Not right this moment, but we will in just a minute. So let's talk about this inside of our guts, like what causes them to become out of balance. But we're going to start first with something that's super, super important because it all comes down to this, your microbiome. Microbiome. Some of you may have heard of this before, but your GI tract is a key attribute to your digestive system. But inside of your digestive system, it contains trillions of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and all of those collectively together are known as your microbiome. And did you know that you have more bacteria and more viruses in your body than you do actual human cells? Isn't that crazy? But this is the most studied thing, like I said before, and most well-known thing inside of our bodies. Like this is studied over and over and over again. Now, these bacteria that are found inside of our bodies, they're mainly inside of our intestines. Now, typically when we talk about bacteria, we are associated a lot of times with negative effects. So, and things like, or diseases. So negative things like infections or overgrowth of bacteria inside of our bodies. And then when that happens, we're usually taught to take a what? If you haven't said it already, it's an antibiotic. We're known to, like, you have a bacterial infection, you take an antibiotic, and an antibiotic, like if you break down the word, it means anti-life. And so when something that is anti-life, it's not just going to kill the unhealthy bacteria that have grown too much, it kills everything. So the good bacteria and the unhealthy bacteria are all wiped out with an antibiotic. And so the good bacteria of your gut, we need those things because they help with digestion, they help with your immune health, they help with your heart health. And so we don't want to kill them because they're vital to our body being able to absorb nutrients, to digest the nutrients, to get our food out of our body, the waste to get through. And what we've seen, unfortunately, is that most people don't reestablish that good bacteria after a round of antibiotics. Like, it takes a while in order for the good bacteria to replenish inside of our digestive system after taking an antibiotic. And if you think about it, who takes the most antibiotics? And it's kids. And so their bellies are already from a young age not able to have a good, healthy microbiome because they are taking so many antibiotics, and it's just killing every single good thing that's inside of their digestive system. And so an imbalance in this gut bacteria is called dysbiosis. So we need to have this good bacteria in order to make sure that there's a balance inside of our body. So these microbes, I keep saying, like, we need these good bacteria, and it's so vital for our gut to be healthy. Now, these bacteria are not just found in our digestive system. They inhabit both in our bodies and then also outside of our bodies, but the majority of them are inside of our gut. They're inside of our digestive tract, but they're also inside of our genitals and our mouth and our nose. Like, they're made that way. God designed for them to be that way because these openings, because of the environment, is going to come in. So there has to be these good bacteria in there so that it can help to fight off the unhealthy bacteria. So what determines if someone's microbiome is in good shape or not? And it really does come down to this balance of having less of the bad bacteria or the unhealthy bacteria and more of this healthy bacteria, good bacteria. So the more that that's there, that's what helps your body to be able to balance out and have a good microbiome. Now, one of the biggest influences this has on our body, this balance, has to do with our gut-brain connection. So they're connected. We can't unconnect them, disconnect them. I mean, you could, like, literally, but we can't. And the communication between our central nervous system and our gut is not only just physical, but it's also biochemical in a lot of ways. So your brain contains about 100 billion neurons, which communicate with its body on its own. Like, your brain sends messages. It controls every single part of your body. If you're a patient, you know that because we talk about your nervous system. You're getting adjusted to reconnect your brain back to not only your gut, but your entire system. Now, your gut contains about 500 million neurons. That then connects back to the brain in the nervous system. So I told you, one message from the brain, 9 messages come back. There are more even neurons inside of your gut connection than there are for the brain coming down. So this connection, like, if you've ever felt like butterflies in your stomach, like, or you felt nauseous before a big presentation, now you understand why, is because these thoughts and what's going on in here can cause a reaction inside of our gut. So this is super important for not only gut health, but also thinking and brain health can come from taking care of our digestive system. Now, your gut health also affects your immune system. They are completely connected together. So over 70% of your immune system is housed inside of your gut. So your healthy bacteria, the good bacteria inside of your gut, can help prevent infection from any foreign invaders. So I was reading an article and it talked about how they found how much your bacteria, your gut bacteria, educate your immune system on what's invading your body and how to proceed with natural immunity. So your gut microbiome communicates with immune cells, then they attack any pathogens or anything unhealthy inside of the body. Now, think about if it's healthy, we're able to fight things off, we're able to kill things, your body's immune system is working superb. Now, think about it if it's out of balance. We're more susceptible to diseases. We're especially immune-mediated diseases and disorders. And so the significant impact that our gut health has on our immune system, there's been numerous studies, and they've seen that the gut change not only affects your immune system, but it can affect obesity, it can affect diabetes, and it also affects liver diseases and even cancer and neurodegenerative diseases. So they're seeing a link between your body not being able to fight and develop disease because of what's happening in the microbiome. Now, what causes this interference inside of the gut? I talked about this word earlier, and I want to go in depth about what does it mean to have dysbiosis. So gut dysbiosis refers to your microbiome imbalance. And what causes an interference, like how does this happen in our body? How does this imbalance? We talked about, of course, antibiotics can do it, but it can come from an unhealthy inflammatory diet. It can come from food sensitivities. It can come from bacterial, yeast, fungal overgrowth. It can come from your gallbladder, like the bile that's in there, it's not flowing properly like it should. It can come from low stomach acid. It can come from chronic stress. It can come from anxiety. It can come from having just a lot of toxins inside of your body, can cause this imbalance inside of our microbiome. Now, if you know, like how would you know if you had this? Some of the symptoms that come from gut dysbiosis is upset stomach. And these can be mild or they can be temporary. So like if you just get an upset stomach out of nowhere, like of course you could have like a food poisoning or something like that, but it can come from that imbalance that happened inside of your body. You can also have, like if you don't address that problem or if you don't actually address this imbalance that's happening, it can get out of hand. And so this can lead to more chronic issues and chronic health issues. So this would include things like leaky gut, autoimmune conditions, fibromyalgia, thyroid issues, hormonal imbalances, like poor immune health. Like if you're sick all the time, it can come diabetes, heart disease, neurological diseases, cancer. So when you have dysbiosis, there's a couple things that have gone wrong. One, you've lost the beneficial bacteria. So you don't have enough good, healthy bacteria in your gut. The other part, you could have potentially harmful bacteria that's taking over your gut. So you even might have enough good, healthy bacteria, but this unhealthy bacteria is coming in and it's taking over everything that's going on the inside. Or you might not have as much, like you want to have different types of bacteria. There's tons we talked about, like tons of bacteria, but you might just have one type of bacteria over here and you don't have a diverse amount of different bacteria inside of your body. So then your body doesn't have everything that it needs to fight things off and to become balanced, that they're heavy on one side, but not on the other side of the good, healthy bacteria. Now, dysbiosis, another thing, you can call it disruption. Now, this is a study and you can't read it on here, but the conclusion of it was they found that there was 3 different types of microbiota that you see there. It's like the same thing as like microbiome. They were checking to see if the microbiome, if it mattered with colorectal patients' survival. So if they looked inside of someone's gut that had colorectal cancer, would they survive? Like they were looking at the different balances of things. And they found that there was 3 different microbiome bacteria that identified as a useful biomarker for colorectal cancer, and dysbiosis might worsen the patient's prognosis by uprating gut inflammation, their gut inflammation levels. And so when you have this dysbiosis, it's not just, I just had some gas or I had an upset stomach. Like it's showing in research that this dysbiosis if you ever were to be diagnosed with colorectal cancer, it could severely affect your prognosis of being able to have your body fight this disease off. So it's a very important thing. I think of it as not just for a treatment for cancer, but a prevention to make sure that like our bodies are balanced, that we would never have to end up with a diagnosis like this, because we would work on making sure that we had a even playing field and that everything was balanced inside of our bodies. Now, this is another study that they did where they talked about gut dysbiosis being linked to hypertension, which is high blood pressure. So according to this study, gut dysbiosis is also linked to hypertension. So our gut health could affect our heart health. It's very much linked together. And it says that those that had hypertension had less diverse ups and downs of the gut dysbiosis. And so we need those diversities of the probiotics, if you will. Like, we're going to get to that, but if that helps you understand what I'm saying, probiotics are more diverse inside of our bodies, and not just taking them, but we have probiotics inside of our body. That's the healthy, good bacteria. Then it can really affect what our heart does. It's crazy and very important. So we kind of talked about some of this, but here's just like in word form, because I keep talking about some different things, but these are direct symptoms of poor gut health. So a lot of unpleasant things. Like, we don't want upset stomachs, unintentional weight changes, sleeping problems, fatigue, food sensitivities, bloating, skin issues, and digestive issues, of course. But these are direct symptoms of not taking care of our gut health. So when we're not taking care of our health, or if we have a symptom, there is the allopathic approach. And the allopathic approach we talked about with antibiotics it's allopathic. It refers to like traditional medicine. And so typically when harmful organisms are detected inside of your gut, the allopathic approach is to essentially remove them. And when we remove them, we're basically bombing the city. Like, it would be as if like inside of our building, we'll just take the salon, for example, like there was something happening in the salon, and they just, instead of just going to the salon to figure out what was going on, they bombed our entire building. So that wouldn't make sense to do that inside of the body. And so by prescribing an antibiotic in an area like this, now there's times and places for all of that, but we have to understand, if you're going to go that route, you're bombing the city. Like, so everything inside of your gut microbiome is most likely going to be destroyed. Now, although like antibiotics can be somewhat effective, but to remove like a targeted organism, they are going to destroy everything else. So that leads to a lot more difficulties of restoring gut health inside of our body. So we believe, Dr. Michael and I, like, we believe that the body has an ability to heal itself. Like, given the proper resources, as long as you continue to remove interferences inside of the body, it is designed to heal. We don't have to bomb everything, destroy everything, cut poison, burn it off in order to create health. There are other ways. It's how God designed our bodies. And so we want to go through some of that. But before we do that, let's talk about another research study that they did. This is an example of how they saw specific medications can destroy the gut entirely. So Helicobacter pylori is found inside of the stomach, and they've done research in the past of like, they thought that it was what was causing ulcers. So they tried to do whatever they could to get rid of Helicobacter pylori inside of the body. And they saw that patients were getting worse and worse and worse, because they said, oh, the problem is that bacteria that's inside of the stomach. So we've got to completely destroy it. Yet it needs to be inside of our stomach. So like, if we eradicate the entire human gut microbiome, we are in trouble. So their conclusion on this, it said, their conclusions are, our preliminary stool metagenomic study shows that the eradication of H. pylori caused a perturbed the gut microbiome and may indirectly affect the health of humans. clinicians should be aware of the effect of the broad spectrum antibiotics used in H. pylori eradication regimen and be cautious of the clinical management of any type of infection with Helicobacter pylori, particularly those that are immunocompromised. So by just taking a medication and getting rid of it is not the answer. Like, they've done research and studies that it's destroying gut microbiome and the health of our bodies. Excuse me. I haven't talked this much in a while. Give me 1 second. If you have, yes, Steve, you can ask questions. And I know who you are now. I know exactly who you are. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. At the end, I've saved time so that we can go through each one of those and I can answer anything that needs to be answered. Remember, it's a 2-part series, so if you don't hear something now, though, and you want to hear something, please let me know that too, and I can put it into the part 2. So let's talk about inflammation. Inflammation is the root cause of all disease and pain inside of the body. So breaking down the normal microbiome community that's happening increases the risk of infection inside of the body. It also increases the risk of inflammation inside of the body. So inflammation in your gut can be responsible for a lot of health conditions such as IBS. Now, this can lead to even more unwanted issues and more unwanted symptoms. And so when we talk about inflammation, the biggest one that comes to mind on where and how we see this has to do with leaky gut. So what does it actually mean to have leaky gut? So inside of our guts, we have an intestinal lining that covers over 4,000 square feet of surface area. So we have a home and it is 1,700 square feet. So that would be like, I can't think about, like, it's crazy to think about the square footage of what our gut is. Like, if we were to take it out of our bodies and unwind it, like, it takes over 4,000 square feet of surface area. So there is a lot of a digestive system inside of our body. So when it works properly, it acts as a barrier. So that controls what is absorbed into our bloodstream. Now, when that barrier is there, it is designed to allow the micronutrients to pass through. It also allows your body to absorb nutrients from our food. It's also designed to keep infections out. It's designed to keep toxins out. It's designed to keep large food particles out, and anything else that would invade our bodies, it keeps it out of our bloodstream. Now, however, when we have things that start to break down that intestinal barrier, we have an unhealthy gut lining, and then this is where it's called intestinal permeability. So that means, so I'm going to show you an example with my hands. When our barriers are working in our digestive system, they're nice and put together, like so strong. Only certain things get in, only certain things come out. Intestinal permeability starts to work like this. And now we have gaps, we have holes, and now things are starting to leak out from our gut and leak into our gut. So that's where the terminology has come from. So now we have these holes and we have these cracks that are allowing harmful bacteria and toxins to enter our gut, and now we have a problem. And if you have leaky gut, these tiny junctions then can become larger and larger and larger, and so then more things are getting in, more things are going out, and then they pass through and they escape into our bloodstream. And these pathogens and toxins and harmful other things, like when they travel into your bloodstream, they start to lodge into our joints and our neural tissues and our organs, including our brain and our liver. This is a big reason why everything is so connected inside of our gut, and why leaky gut has become one of the biggest things that are researched and studied. And like, natural doctors and everything talk about and address because it's real and it can cause your joint pain. And it doesn't mean that you just need to go to the joint. Like, we might need to really look inside of your intestines to see. So leaky gut is now going to alter your gut microbiome, and it's also going to cause an increased inflammation inside of your entire body. So when you have leaky gut and then you have inflammation on top of it, like, it's just a recipe for disease inside of our bodies. So then our immune system starts to react. If something's going out that's not supposed to, your body's like, wait a second, that's not supposed to be outside of here. That was supposed to be protected by your gut microbiome. Get your immune system started. And so we have this inflammatory response in our bodies. And then unfortunately, this problem over time, like, this isn't just an acute problem that just happens like, oh, just a one-off. Like, this is chronic. This isn't just something little. Like, this is leading to chronic inflammation and chronic disease processes inside of our bodies. And so since these gaps are too big and too large going into your bloodstream, like, there is such an inflammatory response that happens when things aren't working properly. Another thing that it does is it also causes you to age faster, more rapidly, or you're at risk for more like autoimmune diseases and autoimmune issues. Dr. Alessio Fasano, he's a medical doctor and a pediatric gastroenterologist, and he does a lot of research, and he's a huge expert in this like celiac and autoimmune diseases, and also bacterial pathogen. Like, he's a smart guy, let's just say that. In 2012, he did a study, and it was in the Clinical Review of Allergy and Immunology. And he said that there's a link between leaky gut syndrome and autoimmune disease. And in 2020, he did a follow-up study, and it's published in the F1000 research, and it said leaky gut syndrome may be the underlying cause of all chronic inflammatory diseases, including autoimmune, infective, metabolic, and tumoral diseases. So this isn't something that we can just pass on. Like, this isn't something that is just like, oh, well, here we are. It's a big deal for our bodies. And so, like, as you can see, your gut and your gut health are more than just digestion. Like, it can affect your entire body. Excuse me. Last thing that I want to talk about is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, also known as SIBO. Now, SIBO is a condition when you have too many microorganisms inside of your small intestine. So unlike your large intestine and your colon, which have tons of bacteria in them, the small intestine actually has less bacteria inside of it. So the small intestine typically has less than 10 to the fourth power of organisms per milliliter. So the large intestine has way more. And anything above that level is considered SIBO. Now, the bacterial overgrowth can be not only just, I'm not saying bad bacteria, I'm talking about all. So like, even too much healthy bacteria inside of the small intestine can be considered SIBO. So small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, it damages the intestinal lining and creates this mild state of leaky gut. And this is where most of the time it has to do with food allergies, food sensitivities, or having just this chronic inflammatory process. It can be coming from just having too many bacteria inside of your small intestine. It also, though, causes a lot of digestive issues like maldigestion, like not able to digest certain things, and also malabsorption. Now, iron is typically absorbed in the small intestine, specifically the duodenum and the jejunum, and that's just part of your small intestine. And now SIBO can interfere with your absorption of iron, which could cause microcytic anemia. Vitamin B12 is also absorbed in the small intestine, specifically in the ileum. And so patients with SIBO, they often have a B12 malabsorption, which can then lead to megaloblastic anemia or a B12 deficiency. So it might not mean that you have to take more iron or more B12. There could be small intestinal bacterial overgrowth inside of your body. Now, what are some symptoms that are specific to SIBO? Gas, bloating, skin disorders such as eczema and rosacea, diagnosis of irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, or IBD, inflammatory bowel disease. You might have food intolerances to gluten, casein, lactose, fructose. You might also have chronic diseases like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, autoimmune diseases, diabetes, or neuromuscular disorders. Or if you have a B12 deficiency, or other things like iron and magnesium are also common. Or you might have problems absorbing fat. So these are some symptoms that could be caused from SIBO. You could also have recurring abdominal pain, cramping, bloating, watery stools, a lot of audible abdominal sounds. So if your stomach's always talking to you, there could be SIBO. A lot of flatulence or like gas, like a lot of farts, milk intolerances. You might even go to the doctor and go to a GI specialist and they say everything is normal. There could be SIBO where you're like, it isn't normal inside of my body. Or if you have just a poor response to therapies to try and help your digestive system, there could be SIBO. So is it possible to heal? I think so. Healing is the natural state of where our bodies should be. Now, here's what I think about when I think about health. It's possible to heal, but you first have to define what it means for your body to heal. This is the most important thing that I could teach you today. When your body is healing, your body is not just feeling good. It is 100% vitality, is 100% function. It is 100% healing inside of your body. So in order for your body to be at optimal health, at a 10, you have great health habits. You take responsibility for your health outcomes. You don't just leave it to someone else. You don't blame anything else. Like, you take responsibility for your health, and you have a strong health philosophy. Like, it is constantly part of your life. Like, it is number one. Like, there are priorities in our life. A lot of times it's work. A lot of times it's our family. A lot of times it's other things, and our health kind of gets put on the back burner. When you have a strong health philosophy, health becomes number one, because you realize that if you don't have your health, then none of that matters. None of that matters. So you can kind of see where you're at when it comes to this chart that you see here. If you're a 7 or an 8, you might not have any symptoms. You feel fine. And this is what gets people in a lot of trouble, is that they think that they're totally fine because they feel just fine. You might have a good lifestyle, but it's inconsistent. Your health is a priority, and you're starting to develop this health philosophy by moving yourself into a 10. Now, some of you, you're not feeling great. You have inconsistent health habits. You're on medications. Your health is not a high priority, but you want to feel better, so that puts you at a 5. You're stuck in a comfort zone. So to go from a 5 to a 10, some things have to change. And you can see some of you are in a disease process. Your body is not healing. It's not functioning like it should. So we have to start moving more into having better health habits. And honestly, like, we've been seeing patients, it'll be 7 years this year. I graduated in 2012, so I'm going on 10 years this year of being a chiropractor. And after seeing thousands of patients over the years and seeing who actually gets well, and like who actually transforms their life, who actually reverses their problems, like who actually has like a full-on testimony of their body being able to heal, there are clear differences between someone who doesn't heal and someone who constantly is in pain and someone who is staying at a 0 to a 5. Like, there is a very clear difference. Like, someone that has 100% vitality and is living in that 10, they are the ones that will heal. They are the ones that have the better outcomes because they're taking full responsibility for their health. Like this person on a 10, like realizes that no one else is responsible for the health. Like no doctor, not me even. No insurance company is responsible for the health. No government agency is responsible for the health, that they care about their health more than anyone else would. When you have that strong philosophy, your body is able to heal. And this is where when you start to move into that 10 and you live into that 10, and both Dr. Michael and I, like we live in this 10, it all comes down to healing the gut, like healing our bodies with the 5 essentials. This is what we teach in our office, living a 5 essential life. When you own your health, when you take responsibility for it, you choose foods that are life-giving. They don't add interference to your body. You choose to focus on fitness and moving your body, oxygenating your tissues, building lean muscle, sweating and breathing hard on a regular basis. Like you work on minimizing any man-made dangerous toxins inside of our bodies. Like we choose to get adjusted to remove interference within our bodies so that our bodies can heal. When you choose to value this system every single day, your body is able to heal. It doesn't just happen by accident. Even though I know God believes in, or I believe in miracles and that God can do those things, he also wants us to live with vitality and to take care of the temple that our bodies are living in. Like you can get healed of diabetes, but if you still keep eating sugar, you've missed the mark. He can heal your back pain, but if your spine is completely curved, we still have a problem. And so by living this way, by honoring our bodies can heal. They can absolutely heal. So let's get into it. The first thing I want you to do, now you don't have to do it now, but I want you to do it after we're done. I'm going to put the link inside of the chat here so that you can take this. Like if you don't know where you're at, then you don't know where you're at. And this can help. Hi, Sheila. This can help you figure out where are you missing it. So it helps you to just know where your blind spots are. And so for the first time ever, like we've done this Life First questionnaire. I did it at the last Gut Health workshop that we did live. And so if you click that link that I put inside of the comments, and no matter what you score, like the goal is to move into that direction of living a maximized life. And so these 5 essentials are absolutely a scientifically based approach to restoring your body's natural ability to heal. So you can discover where your score is, what your risk levels are, and then that way you can know where to start. They come to me so I can see what your score is, and then I can help you by being able to know where to go and where to begin. Now, the first things that we're going to talk about are the 3 steps. Because I contemplated whether or not we were going to be done right there, but I was like, we've got to get into some steps, like 3 steps to heal and to recover. So we have to identify the causes, address the interferences, and to restore vitality. It's not just a philosophy, like it is an application. We have to apply what we're learning. So the first step, identifying the cause. What's causing your problem? Why are you only having 1 bowel movement every 3 days? Why are you constantly tired and fatigued? Why are you aching all over your body? You might need help finding the cause. That's why we exist. That's why Max Living exists, is like we have experts all over the country. And that way we can help find and identify what's causing and start you on your journey to being able to live at 100%. But we can't stop at just identifying the cause, right? We have to continue on by doing step number 2. Next step, addressing, actually doing something about it. When we address what's interfering our bodies, then our pre-programmed design to heal starts to uncover, and then we start to heal. Now, restoring vitality. Give the body the right environment to heal, recover, and function, and you will be at your 100% best. We have to restore the vitality. Now, it is 7:06. This was supposed to be from 6:15 to 7. So what I want to do is for next week, part 2 series. So come next week and we will go through nutrition. We will go through exercising your body. We're going to go through actual steps. But for the time being, until next week, I want you to take that LRQ test. It takes anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. It might take a little longer, but don't sit there and wonder which one you should answer. Whatever's the first one, pick that answer. Don't take too long in taking it. And then I'll have some of your results, but you'll get exactly what to do on part 2. Okay? Let me take a look at that so that we can keep on moving along. So Steve, he has a question. He had back surgery like 1.5 years ago. I've just lately been using the bathroom number 2 like 3 times a day. Do you think they messed something up? I was scared to go to the doctor to find out. I only go to the doctor when something is real bad. I'm starting to get worried. Just want your opinion. Don't mean to interrupt you. You're not interrupting me at all. I wish I could give you advice. And the reason I think that you should perhaps maybe get an opinion from a chiropractor. And I'll have Dr. Michael reach out to you because I think he has your number or on Facebook and we can discuss that. So I'm not discussing it on this platform here, but because we don't know what your spine looks like, we don't know much of your history, there's not a whole lot I can give to you as a recommendation here, but we will reach out to you, Steve, and absolutely help you. Melissa, what are your thoughts on fulvic acid and humic acid? So I haven't done a whole lot of research on that. I do know about advanced TRS, and they carry those 2 items and talk highly of them. But I will write that down, and we will have a conversation about that because I don't know too much on those things and what exactly they do. So I will look into that, and then we'll chat. Christy, we miss you. Thanks for the feedback. Love the webinars and always sharing my knowledge. I have a lot inside of this brain right here. So I want to respect your time. And I could go on forever and ever and ever, but to know that you have to absorb everything that I just taught you so that we can come back next week and really get into the nitty-gritty of what are we going to do to help heal our guts. But I want you to take that LRQ, start thinking of things that could cause the interferences inside of your body, looking at the 5 essentials. Taking that LRQ is going to help you identify those causes. That's why I think it's super important to figure out what's interfering there. And then we can start addressing those. And that's what we're going to do next week is really address those interferences and then restore the vitality inside of your body. I love you all. I thank you. If you have anything else that you need, please reach out to me and we can walk through this. Love y'all. See you next week.